the fake drinking or fake smoking trick, kind of interesting. Responsible drug and alcohol use. Let's talk about it. Welcome in, fam. Much love, Trav here. I don't have recommendation for everyone that everyone should be a certain way, that everyone should, I see different things that work and that don't work, but it's kind of interesting having an idea of what works best for you, whether that's abstinence or moderate use, or basically like it can kill you, it can cause no harm, it can, and that's a real thing, like drugs and weed, alcohol, and then I'm not even going to talk about the things beyond that. My recommendation would be to be careful with that, but the most common ones: alcohol, weed, tobacco. Pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, basically you can get cancer, kill you, car crash, kill people, and so on. So you do want to be responsible. But I wanted to talk about this kind of interesting technique socially that I've never really heard anyone talk about, but I've observed people use, and that's basically like participatory drinking and smoking. That's really fake. Like you're not actually drinking, but you are drinking with people socially, or you're not actually smoking, but you're in the circle and you're passing the joint or the blunt or whatever. And why that is, I mean, it's kind of interesting to think about, like, why we practice these activities. And I think there's definitely social benefit to it. So in the case of alcohol, for instance, like, yeah, I mean, it's a drug that some people use just to get fucked up, but it's also something that you can use repetitively and socially for creating goodwill, creating reciprocity, gift giving and gift receiving. That's why it's it's been common historically in business throughout the world, or making deals, or basically just like oftentimes bonding or partnering with someone. Not that like, okay, we get fucked up but more like it gives you an opportunity to offer something. Here, I got this beer, or I made you this drink, or have this nice kind of wine. And I've observed this from elders, where it's like, you don't want to say no when your mentor, your uncle, a powerful business figure or whatever, brings out like an 80-year-old wine from the wine closet. Like, obviously there's a benefit to accepting that. But so you're not really necessarily drinking to drink in all these situations. And there's lots of situations like that where you could say no, but it creates more no's on the path of progress, and it's socially not advantageous. It's rude, or there's situations where you should say no even if you do drink, obviously. Like, I don't want to, but there's times where it's appropriate to say yes, and there's times that it's appropriate. You go to a party, I've done this before, and you bring a 6-pack or a 12-pack and you don't drink any of it because it's appropriate to bring something for the host, right? But it's also often better to participate. And then this is where, like, I've seen people do this. We'll talk about me doing it, but like, pour yourself a tiny little bit of wine for the toast, because you do cheers everyone, clink all the glasses around, but you're just drinking a little sip, right? Or you're drinking at the campfire or bonfire or whatever, you pop open a beer. Maybe you don't want to drink it because you don't think it's beneficial, but you take a couple sips, or drink a quarter of it, half of it, and then pour half out for the fallen homies, that sort of a thing. And I think that's superior to hardcore abstinence. I've also observed hardcore abstinence, like, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't even want to be around it. It prevents you from accessing certain social situations, because when people get together, like, it's often like we're going to have a few drinks or whatever, and then you don't even have to drink, right? But if it's like people know you do not drink, you do not smoke, you miss out on a lot of social situations where that's going on in the background, but it's not the purpose to be there. So if it's like you pretend drink, you pretend smoke, you can show up and participate. But the thing about doing it pretend is, if you do it for real, you have these negatives that you don't necessarily want. I'm not saying that it's wrong to drink, or it's necessarily wrong to get drunk or to smoke occasionally, but it's probably not good to do that all the time, to get fucked up all the time. But you can participate, right? So I'm not saying that there's a best way to do it, but I think a middle path is pretty good if it's possible to do that, where you participate socially, but that's kind of for the social benefits, but that's kind of it. And then smoking, for example, this goes back. You look at the natives smoking the peace pipe or whatever, sitting around to create peace. There's something powerful about sitting in a circle and passing and sharing, right? And it's good to be able to be a part of that with people and grow together. It builds community. It builds society, really, sitting in circles. And if it's like, oh, I don't smoke, well, why don't you sit in the circle? When it gets passed your way, you grab it, you chill on it. Maybe you don't even smoke it. No one's really watching you, and then you pass it along. Rather than saying no, I'm sitting outside the circle, or then they need to pass it by you. And that's an example of fake smoking. Like, sometimes I don't want to be stoned, but for a couple reasons, and I'll give examples. It's appropriate to pass it along, like someone rolls something and you're there, and they other people like, okay, you can either not smoke it or just put it up to your lips and cigar puff it out, don't inhale it, right? And that's something that I don't see people do too much because they don't have the modes. And that's something that I was thinking about of Elon Musk on Joe Rogan, right? People are like, oh my god, Elon Musk smoked weed. Not really, actually. He didn't inhale it, but he participated. And there's negatives from him participating, but that's an example of what I'm talking about socially, where it's like, it's offered by your host. Maybe it's not coming from like any danger or predatory anything, so why not just say sure and then like kind of pretend to participate, right? Example from today is a friend driving us all to the beach, and friend saying, hey, do you have any weed, or want to roll a joint or whatever? And then it's like, well, I don't actually want to smoke, but I'm going to, like, socially, the appropriate thing to do is to roll a joint for this person. And then I'm not going to say no, not smoke it, but I might just pass it along and like pretend to, right? It's not, I said fake drinking, fake smoking. It's more like minimal participatory, right? And there's social benefits, though, to being stoic and abstinent and saying no. And those are like, some people will follow you, but on the other hand, I think that you probably miss out socially. I mean, you can do it. It's more of a challenge. It requires discipline, but it also requires discipline to do it at the minimal, for moderation. And there's some more examples. I mean, I've been talking pretty in general, but I mean, for me, I'm a big fan of that middle path where, like, you're at a party, a drinking party, you're gonna have 2 drinks, and you're gonna be cradling your water bottle the whole night and drinking it, where you kind of get the social benefit of participating and being seen to participate and sharing experience together, but you don't get the negatives of being drunk or liver damage or hangover, that sort of a thing. So just wanted to share that. I think it's helpful. I hope you find that it's helpful. I just haven't really seen conversations like that, and I think that's helpful to young people, because when I was growing up, I was really like, drugs are bad, alcohol is bad, tobacco is bad, it has no purpose. But then it's like, well, people were doing it anyway, why are they doing it, right? So I'm more interested in a more nuanced conversation where people are doing it for this reason. The benefits are X and the drawbacks are Y, and your strategies are A, B, and C, right? I think that's a much better discussion to have, because a lot of the time what happens when people are sheltered from it is when they develop more problems, because they don't really have or consider moderation as a strategy. They have abstinence or all out. So I said I don't have a recommendation, but now that you made it to the end, I suppose that is my recommendation. Well, if you want to, basically, if you want to get fucked up sometimes, I'm not going to judge that. It's not necessarily in your interest to do so. If you want to never participate in drinking or smoking, then that's cool too. But you're going to prevent yes bonding and create more no friction socially, and be more isolated because it's so prevalent. But if you choose a middle path where you participate at the minimum level, then you're going to get most of the benefits without most of the drawbacks. So I'm not necessarily perfect at it, but that's generally the strategy I employ, and I think it's good. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I look forward to hearing what you have to say, and I will talk to you soon. Peace out, fam. And yeah, just kind of share. I would love to hear your experience down in the comments down below. And those of you who made it this far to the very, very end, you should check out my book full of advice on things that I wish I had told myself sooner, including this sort of advice and other sort of advice. So make sure to check it out. I appreciate you, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say in the comments.